Good evening, and welcome here to the Lane United Methodist Church Northwest Highway campus in our Asbury Hall, where we're bringing you the Impact Update for this quarter. We had our first Impact Update in March, and so we're glad to be coming to you today and share with you about what's going on at our church. Tonight we're going to be talking primarily about how your support as a congregation, whether you meet at the Walnut Hill Church campus or at 723 or here at the Northwest Highway campus, supports our church and our outreach toward our mission, vision, and dream. And we want to first say a great big thank you to you for your generosity that makes all of this possible. And we hope tonight to bring everyone up to speed on what exactly is going on with our multi-campus approach to ministry that we have long since dreamed of. I want to talk tonight about our mission statement is to love all people into relationship with Jesus Christ, which most everybody knows and can say. Our vision statement is to be one dynamic community, passionately engaging the Bible, uplifting Jesus in worship and loving service, and challenging in love that which divides. Now, our dream statement's a little large for me to memorize, but I do want to share this dream statement with you and share that we have this posted in the most prominent place in our large Watson Hall here at the Lovers Lane Northwest Highway campus. We say this: our dream, by God's grace, through the resurrected Lord and empowered by the Holy Spirit, is to dream with humility, courage, and authenticity, to worship God in multiple dynamic venues across the Metroplex, to baptize as an experience of God's unconditional love, to engage the Bible in hundreds of classes and groups, and to become a sacred harmony of thousands of God's children, and to serve tens of thousands with an all are precious in His sight passion, and love all people into relationship with Jesus Christ. I love that dream statement. And you know, dream is kind of like Christian perfection, isn't it? A dream like this for a church, it's way out there. In fact, the dream statement should make us smile a little bit at least, or laugh out loud in questioning, well, how will they ever achieve that? And the answer is, we won't, except for God's grace and the power of the Holy Spirit working in and through this congregation. We're going on to perfection as United Methodists, and here we're going on to a dream that we believe the Holy Spirit has planted within this congregation. Tonight we're going to bring you an update centered on that part of the dream that says to be a church that worships in multiple distinctly different worship venues all across the Metroplex. We're going to talk about our 723 campus, which is in West Dallas, and it is an outreach primarily to young adults who live there, and we're very excited about it. We're going to also talk about our Walnut Hill Church campus and what's going on in this great church that's been a congregation for 70 plus years, and we're very excited about being a church that not only addresses the region, but moves into neighborhoods and makes an impact there. So at this time, I want to introduce to you Macy Liptoy, who is our pastor over our 723 ministry, and she's going to share a word with you about 723. Macy, come on.
Well, thank you. It is a good privilege to be here this evening. My name is Reverend Macy Liptoy, as San said. I am the pastor of 723, and I was appointed last July. And I don't know if you remember anything that was happening last July, but there was a global pandemic. So it was an interesting space to walk into and know that we were having this new dream of a community in West Dallas, but we couldn't gather. And so it gave us a chance to pause and consider, what does this community really want to look like? What are we desiring in this space? And one of the things that we realized when it came to discovering what 723 wanted to be about is that we wanted to be about community. Now, not just building community within the building, but creating it from partnerships outside in the broader West Dallas, Oak Cliff, Bishop Arts community. And so one of the partnerships that we have is with a nonprofit called Artstillery. This is actually a nonprofit that we've been in partnership with over the past 3 years. And Artstillery is unique in the fact that they are a performance nonprofit that is focused on empowering marginalized communities by telling their stories. Artstillery hosts amazing events in our space. They write shows about West Dallas and what it means to belong to this neighborhood. And every month, they host a variety show called Art Cultivation. Now, art cultivation allows us to support the artists in West Dallas. It gives us a chance to gather as a community, to show support for the arts, to pay our artists a fair wage, and especially during COVID, to offer support for everyone when we are so separated. We have an audience of about 100 to 200 people who come out for this event, and this has provided 723 with a chance to connect with folks who would never walk in the doors of a normal church. We have met people who have moved from Chicago to be part of the Dallas art scene. We have met councilmen, we have met constables, we have met people who have come over here as refugee musicians who want to share their art. Artstillery has done an incredible job of connecting us to the broader West Dallas community. And in August of this year, I was called by the director of Artstillery. And she said, "Macy, we've got a problem." And my heart dropped. And she said, "No, it's not about us. It's about this group called Alegre Ballet Folklorico. They've been a staple in Oak Cliff for over 20 years, teaching folklorico dances to young kids of Latin descent, bringing kids in from all over the neighborhood." And this is the moment, the picture you see right here is an important moment, because this was the moment that we decided that we could help Ballet Folklorico because of the pandemic, they lost their space. Oak Cliff Cultural Center closed and has not reopened, and so Elknor called me and said, "Macy, we've got to give a place for these kids who are now practicing in a barn that has holes in the ceiling." And I said, "We can do that." I said, "We can do that because we know the value of having a space for kids to come to, a value of having a space for kids to come and learn about their cultural heritage and be part of a community that uplifts one another, supports one another, and offers grace and hope to one another." And so we celebrated their coming on board with an event of Dia de los Muertos, and there's a picture I have that you can look at of over 100 people gathered on November 1st to celebrate this holiday and to recognize that we had now included Ballet Folklorico as part of our partnership, and what a gift it has been to be able to be together with them. Part of our community identity is not just building community by bringing people inside the building, but by going outside as well. This past October, we were sitting inside 723, and I was working with Artstillery of writing a script for their show Family Dollar, which actually premieres on the 18th and tells the story of churches in West Dallas that have long since closed. But as we were writing this story, I saw this gentleman outside taking pictures, and so I walked out and introduced myself to him. We had a nice conversation, and he went on his way, or so I thought. A few minutes later, I heard knocking on the door, and I went to go open it, and here was this gentleman that I just met and his wife and kids. And he said, "Hey, I know we just met, but I have an idea for this space. My family and I were talking about Christmas, and we thought it might be a great idea to pack food for our friends experiencing homelessness this holiday season. And we were just gonna pack it in our apartment, but our apartment's really small, and you have this nice, massive space. Do you think you could help us out?" And I said, "We can absolutely help you out, and we can do one better." So on Christmas Day, 30 volunteers from across 723, Ballet Folklorico, Artstillery, Dallas Theater Center, from all over the Metroplex gathered to pack meals for our friends experiencing homelessness, and I have a picture as well. What a great sight that is. Christmas Day. And guess what? These people, they packed over 100 meals and passed them out to those with food insecurity. This kind of stuff only happens because of our community partnerships where we reach out beyond the walls of our building, beyond the confinements of what we think church might look like, to partner with nonprofits in the area, to partner with dance companies, and to partner with families who believe in building a better West Dallas, who believe in telling the story of West Dallas who believe in the people who are part of this community. Now, we had all these incredible things happening where we were having arts variety shows, and we were having Dia de los Muertos events, and we were having mission days, but we had something missing. And that missing component was very important, and it was the church component. Now, I was first appointed on July 1st. I really felt this impulse to start something now. But I felt the Holy Spirit say, Macy, you gotta wait. Take a minute. Listen. See where you're being led. See not what this community needs, but what it wants. And so it could have been a season of really difficult times of where COVID could have totally put a halt to what we were dreaming and planning about. It actually gave us a chance to sit and listen. And so listen we did. And we heard stories from people in the community, people who were part of Art Stillery, people who were part of Ballet Folklorico, people who were part of the neighborhood, who were having conversations and sharing what they were searching for. Not just what they needed. We as a church are really good at meeting needs. But I wanted to know, what did they want? Where did they want to go? What did they want worship to look like? And so we had this idea. And this idea came from a young woman who actually comes to Lover's Lane. Her name is Tori. And she called me in February and said, Macy, I need a place where I can wrestle with the tough stuff in the Bible. Where it's not widely accepted that everyone thinks that everything in the Bible is good, but where I can say, I don't agree with this, or I don't understand what this means, or why does it say that? She asked me, do you know of a church that's doing that? And I said, Tori, unfortunately, I really don't. But we can start it. 723 can be that place. And as this idea developed, we realized this would be a place not just for people who had tough questions about the Bible, but for people who were struggling with their everyday lives. For folks who had left the church because of rejection or being told that they weren't good enough. For folks who had left the church because when they came out about who they were and who they loved, the church said, you can't be that way here. We said, you can definitely be who you are here. And so we came up with this crazy idea of a support group. And I could tell you all the stories of the people who have been involved in this idea and the people who have come to this support group, but I think I'd rather you hear it from them. And so here are their stories.
Hi, my name is Tori Jensen, and I decided to become part of 723 because primarily it started with a conversation between me and Reverend Macy Liptoy. We started having conversations centered around the hurt that some people have felt due to the church.
I have been traumatized by the church in a lot of ways.
You know how pastors and preachers can be. They're trying to condemn you or make you buy into whatever they're selling.
Different religious institutions. In fact, I think the more complex they get, the less we are concerned with the actual person, with human rights, with the advancement of our ethics and moral society, and the more they just become concerned with consolidating power or spreading their influence.
There was a clear need for some spiritual healing and growth. And so we decided to get together and make this group.
Hello, I'm Kwame. Originally, Macy reached out to me just to talk about, my journey with the church, if I was still in it and how that went. The way that she approached me, it was very open and she really wanted to know my story. Fast forward after talking to her and how loving and open she was, I was ready to tell my story and honestly low-key ready to get back into the church.
The reason why I'm helping Macy is, for one, when she came up to me about the project, I thought it was a really great idea in breaking down, these questions that people have, and also offering a space, like a safe space for people to come and open up about things that their stories about being mistreated or whatever that they had gone through in their lives. And I think this is really cool that she's offering a space for them to come and open up.
So I can't say that I'm the biggest fan or that I believe necessarily in organized religion or a larger organized religious structure. I can say that I am beginning to believe in Pastor Macy.
So I think what she's doing is a great thing in bringing people together, and I think that's awesome.
It's in almost a Maslow's hierarchy sort of way. She cares about them physically, about their emotional well-being, about how they're feeling. You know, are you okay, right? Isn't that one of the first things we should ask people? Are you okay? And if not, let's address that first. And then
I really want to thank you for all the work that you're doing with 723. And as someone that almost immediately shuts down when someone talks about the church or their belief in Jesus, one of my ears shuts down and my foot is out the door in those conversations. I don't have that with you and the church that you're serving. And that's a gift. So if anyone is looking for a church home, I would definitely strongly suggest that they look to you, because I'm not going to say that about anybody else right now. And I don't say it lightly either. I say that because I see the work that you're doing, and it gives me hope, and I'm very grateful for that. So.
So I don't know if I could follow up any better than that, but I'm witnessing people who feel like church wasn't the place for them come back. We launched our support group last week, and we had people show up who are coming out of really traumatic experiences, who are coming back for the first time in a long time, who are coming back for the first time ever. And I'm witnessing the way that they are engaging with the Bible, not just talking about what's going on in their lives, but engaging with tough texts and wrestling with what it means to find God in texts that were traditionally used to hurt them. What it means to find hope in ways that we never saw hope before. And all of this is only happening because of the support of Lover's Lane. Because of you, people who have written off God are coming back to God. Because of you, people who've written off Christian community are coming back to it. Because they see the hope of the resurrection and what we're doing at 723. I truly believe that what is happening here is making a difference, is making disciples, and is transforming the world. Thank you so much for all that you do for our mission at 723.
Thank you so much, Macy. What an exciting ministry 723 is. You know, churches have to realize that sometimes we have to color outside the lines. We have to leave our comfort zones in order to really reach people and to love people into relationship with Jesus Christ. And I'm so thankful for Macy and for all of those who are connecting with us there at 723. I also want to do a shout out to Susan Gandy. Susan and Woody have been connected to our church for many years. Susan's been a member for many years, and part of her vision in the 2 decades that I've known her has been to reach young people, And she's made this building on 723 Fort Worth Avenue available to us, and we are just so very thankful for her vision as a layperson that connects with this church overall. As Macy said, you know, your generosity makes this possible, and we're so thankful for the generosity of this entire congregation, and especially we're thankful for Susan Gandy. Today I want to continue to move this along. We're going to talk about the wonderful Walnut Hill Church and the adoption merger that took place in a year that you would have thought it would have been impossible for such a feat. And that, of course, was last year in July, right in the middle of the pandemic. Our congregations had come together, Walnut Hill United Methodist Church, Lover's Lane United Methodist Church, and started talking about what an adoption merger would be like. And the more we talked about it, the more we liked the way it sounded and the possibilities that it produced. We loved the way it connected to the larger vision of Lover's Lane United Methodist Church. And so we're excited that we'll continue this program tonight on Impact Update by talking about the Walnut Hill Church and our campus ministry there. And so we have a video that we'd like to begin this discussion with you through. And so let's roll that video.
Hi, I'm John Osmond. I've been here about 3 years. I'm now the chairman of the board of directors for Walnut Hill Church. Well, the reason Walnut Hill wanted to reach out to Lover's Lane we had determined that the trends in both our membership and our giving were on a non-sustainable course. We brought in a consultant, Neil Mosley, and he brought to us 3 or 4 strategic options that we had never even considered before. And one of those options was to join up with a larger church, and he recommended Lover's Lane United Methodist Church.
The adoption merger between Lover's Lane United Methodist Church and Walnut Hill United Methodist Church started some months ago, more than a year ago, before COVID-19 actually. I was approached first by a consultant, friend of mine, who had been working with Walnut Hill for some months, and he basically said that Walnut Hill would be interested in talking about maybe getting together for what he called an adoption merger.
Well, as you can imagine, coming into a church like this, it's very closely knit and has a long history, suggesting to the congregation that, well, we're going to merge up with somebody. There were 2 opposite feelings. One was hope. Oh, there is a way that we can find a way forward. And high anxiety of, oh my gosh, what will they do to us? And hundreds of questions. I put together a small team that met with Lover's Lane, their leadership, and then the executive council and other meetings occurred. I got to meet Scott Luganville. We began to develop a bit of a relationship because we had to start with a relationship between the churches, develop a little trust of who are these mass bandits coming in here and what are they going to do to us?
And so that led to a team from Walnut Hill, headed by John Osmond, and a team from Lover's Lane that our own Scott Luganville from Lover's Lane, he kind of headed our team. And these 2 groups got together and started meeting. And for Walnut Hill, I mean, it was a big change. Of course, they were the ones coming to the table, so they had already moved to the place of accepting what those changes would be about, which was mainly just becoming one church, one Lover's Lane United Methodist Church with 2 campuses, a Northwest Highway campus, a Lover's Lane, or a Walnut Hill campus. And the changing of the name slightly, since we didn't have 2 different United Methodist churches, just one United Methodist Church, then we would refer to Walnut Hill as Walnut Hill Church. And everybody seemed to like that because it seemed to continue the identity of Walnut Hill and also speak to a newness about where we were going in this new day. And so, you know, if it weren't for both of us buying into a common mission and a common vision, it probably wouldn't have happened.
The key to success on our side was lots of internal communications. I made many, many presentations in large groups and small groups. And when Stan asked, what are your expectations and hopes of a merger? I told him I have 2 that are paramount. One is thought leadership. What I mean by thought leadership is new ideas, new perspectives. And one of the first things that came into play, I think, was defining who we are as a church. Well, because we had been living this for literally 70 years, why do we need to do that? Well, we had to change our mentality and think in terms of we are at a new beginning of an existing mature church. And it was really important to ask that question, what do we stand for? And helping us work through that and make sure we had consensus of what we stood for. And then challenging us to think about who we would like to attract to this church. The second thing that I hoped for was a deeper bench. So by having a bigger bench to draw from would relieve a lot of the stress on some of the current people. We had 140 people show up for the vote. And this is in the midst of the pandemic where social distancing was, paramount. 140 people packed in here. 96% of them voted for the merger.
The merger, the adoption, basically helped both churches get stronger. We believe that we could be better together. The things that we're thinking about that we can do together and the things we've already been doing together have just been amazing. But to think in terms of our youth groups becoming one and using the campus at Lovers Lane, Northwest Highway, and also at Walnut Hill, the things that we can do with combined children's ministry, the outreach and ministry that we can have in the neighborhood. You know, I just say in a nutshell, what it has done most of all for both churches is it has given us the ability to dream together.
My name is Sheila McLaughlin. I have been a member of Walnut Hill for 30-some-odd years. When I moved to this area of Dallas, a friend and I were shopping for churches. We visited Walnut Hill, and we never left. I accepted Christ in this church. I was baptized in this church. This church is my home. The changes I have seen since the merger with Lovers Lane United Methodist Church and Walnut Hill United Methodist Church, it's amazing. We have the TVs now in the sanctuary. We had services in the parking lot because we couldn't attend the churches because of COVID-19. So we met in the cars, and the wonderful staff that we had a flatbed trailer that had speakers, and we had music, we had songs, and you could put on your mask and visit in each car and see people you haven't seen in months because of everybody being locked down.
We had emphasized the hope over the anxiety and been able to bring a sense of true hope and a way forward. And I think that's why people voted so strongly for it. And I'm really personally very, very encouraged by the growth opportunity. I really love the thought leadership that has come in to help us define a path forward. I think our future is really, really bright. So for all those people that have been members here for 30, 40, 50 years, I can say this church is going to continue. Thank you for your service and contribution to it, and I look forward to the next 50 years.
Since the merger, the energy of the church has changed. It's good, it's strong. You can tell because there's so much going on and people are excited and they're walking around and looking at the updates, modernizations that we've been doing, visiting with the ministers and the staff from Lovers Lane. There's a new energy, a strong energy that's in Walnut Hill again, like it used to be once upon a time. I really enjoy the staff. It's a younger staff. Our two ministers are just outstanding, so personable and so compassionate. And so is our congregational care minister. You can just tell when you see them that they care. They care about the church, they care about the people. And it's a wonderful feeling.
So, needless to say, this pastor is very excited about what we're going to be doing into the future. And I think that this is a wonderful model, not just because we're experiencing it, but because what it can mean to the larger denomination and maybe even other denominations that see how two churches coming together can do far more than they ever could have done by themselves. Together, we're better.
Thank you so much for that video, and those testimonies were wonderful. I want to say to John and Sheila that part of why the merger has been so successful is because of the strong leadership at Walnut Hill Church that you two represent. We are so very thankful for you and your dynamic work. It is just a joy to be part of this team. Today, Tammy and I got the privilege to go to the celebration at Walnut Hill Church. Our bishop spoke, our district superintendent was there. It was a wonderful time to share fellowship out on the parking lot after worship and just to sense that excitement that both John and Sheila were talking directly about. I also want to say that we have such a wonderful staff at Lovers Lane, and that staff serves all of our campuses. And I'm going to introduce you to a couple who are right in the thick of things related to the Walnut Hill Church development, and say that Tom Hudspeth would be here as well, but he's taking care of his dad right now and his family. We want to keep Tom and his father Robert and mother Lossie in our prayers. But I want to introduce you tonight to Scott Luganville And Andy, who's going to be talking to us, Andy Nelms, is going to be talking to us about the development of the Walnut Hill campus. And I think Scott is up first. Both of them are coming. My goodness, we got a duo. So here we are going to listen to some great presentations from these two guys.
Thank you, Stan. Well, we're just glad to be with you tonight, and I want to just first of all just talk about what this adoption merger has done for Walnut Hill campus as well as for Lovers Lane. It's about the mission, right? We all know our mission statement is loving all people into relationship with Jesus Christ, but at Walnut Hill we have a mantra, and that's connecting and serving with our neighbors. And when we got on the grounds, as we were talking through the adoption, as I began to meet people, and as Andy joined the team as well last July, we knew that we needed to connect with our neighbors, and that was through blood drives, by partnering with the food ministry here at the Inwood campus. But really, Walnut Hill has a heart for the people. And with Thomas Jefferson right around the corner, they've had just years and years and years of partnerships with that school and with many of the different agencies in the area. And we continue that mission. And what this partnership has done is just strengthened our missions. And before Walnut Hill maybe felt like they were the solo people on the corner, but now they were together. Now they had the resources, and now we had the opportunity to come together and meet other people and grow in our mission and outreach. And so let's watch this quick video about the mission opportunities that we've been able to do in the last year.
My name is Andy Nelms, and I have the privilege of being the teaching pastor here at Walnut Hill Church and associate pastor at Lovers Lane. Since the adoption merger, Walnut Hill Church has engaged in a number of different missions. We say that our mantra is to connect and serve with our neighbors, and that's definitely what we've done over the last year. Some of the ways we've done that is by collecting more than $5,000 for homeless students at local area high school. We've had 2 blood drives here at the church that combined have saved a total of 216 lives through donations that have happened just on this campus alone. We also received a call a little while ago from a local Girl Scout troop that had made first aid kits for people who were homeless but didn't quite know how to distribute them, and so they called us. And so what we did is we actually handed those out to our congregation after worship so that we can keep those in our car, and when we see people on the side of the road who are in need, we have an opportunity to hand out those first aid kits and actually bless our neighbors with those. We've also been able to engage with missions like Project Transformation.
My name is Joe Biggerstaff. I am a retired deacon in the North Texas Conference. I served under appointment at retirement here from 2005 till 2011 and have been part of the worshiping congregation ever since then. What is Project Transformation? It is a summer program for children and young adults. The children come from the surrounding community, really underserved community. And the intent is to help them maintain their reading skills and hopefully even improve those reading skills throughout the summer. The young adult component is for young college students who are exploring vocations, whether that is vocation in ministry or vocation in nonprofit, in ways to be of service within the community. Walnut Hill has been involved with Project Transformation at least for the 16 years since I've been here, and I think for several years before that. I don't know quite the length of time, but a long time. PT, if you think about the name, Project Transformation, it's not just transformation for children who come, but it's also transformation for the college interns who are involved, and at the same time for the congregation who support it. PT is just so important because of the difference it makes in all the lives that are involved.
Hello everyone, my name is Kathy Bell, and I have been a member of this Walnut Hill community for 21 years. Since the merger, I have participated in the missions that we have done, not only physically here, but made available to us as a result of the merger. I have served in the food ministry on Saturdays at the Inwood Road campus, loading cars with bags of fresh produce. I've assisted with the blood drive, primarily checking people in, helping them navigate the technology to get them checked in so they can go and make their donation. And we've had 2 drives and they've been very successful. And what I think this means for the Walnut Hill, not just the campus, but the community, it puts a face and gives a voice to us in our community, which was ravaged so hard by that tornado 2 years ago. And we're more than just a building. We are a part of this community just as much as the people who live around it are. I've also served recently, since the merger, in the tech booth, which was a totally new experience for me because this was new to this campus.
Hello, I'm Tom Hutchpeth, and I'm the pastor for Care Ministries here at Walnut Hill Church. When we came to Walnut Hill, we came in the midst of a pandemic, and we were live streaming or pre-recording our worship services for Sundays. And a concern arose about, well, what about those who don't have a computer or a cell phone or be able to watch our programs on live stream? And came across some articles about churches that had signed up for phone live streaming. And so last fall we began offering that, and we got some really positive feedback just recently from one of our analog saints about how much she appreciates being able to listen to our services over the phone, and that's been such a blessing. The second thing's been our prayer ministry. Walnut Hill has had a praying group that's gone on for years, and I've been able to share some reflections in sending out those prayer lists and our congregational care list, because really during this pandemic, prayer has been one of the main tools or means of grace that has kept us knitted together. By praying for one another, even though we're not in one another's presence, we are in one another's mind and heart. And so by our prayer ministry and keeping our list updated and continued, even though we're not in one another's presence, we are in one another's prayers. The third thing I want to share with you is our prayer shawl ministry. And just recently, one of our church members, Kathy Bell, had sent a prayer shawl that ended up in Berlin, Germany. It was through a relative of hers, that mother-in-law. I mean, it's a rather tenuous extension of connection. So I just want to celebrate this connection that we have through our prayer shawl ministry, a gift from Lover's Lane to Walnut Hill, and Walnut Hill being a blessing to a woman in Berlin, Germany.
Since we've gone through the adoption merger, Walnut Hill Church has experienced new ways of reaching out into our community and ultimately beyond this community and others. We've had the opportunity to get to know and meet a lot of people from the Inwood campus, and I think that's helped make us more ready to relaunch into the world and certainly less isolated, and that's been hard for everybody for the last 14 months, however long we were taking care of being safe, and that is such a gift. That's a gift from God.
All of these missions that we've engaged with over this last year have helped create energy and a momentum here at Walnut Hill Church that I believe wouldn't have happened had the adoption merger not taken place. I am so excited to get to share with you all the great things that are happening at Walnut Hill Church. And as the teaching pastor, I have the privilege and the opportunity to watch as these missions and these opportunities take place. I hope that you heard during our missions video that a lot of these things were either happening or the ideas bubbled up from the congregation. And the adoption and merger have really allowed us to empower the congregation to go out and be the church. We've been able to work with our Knit, Pearl, and Pray group to send a prayer shawl to Berlin, Germany. We've partnered with
with food distribution. We've done so many things, partnering with blood drives. Really what has happened with this adoption merger is that the ministry that has been done by 2 campuses has been multiplied. And I believe what Pastor Stan said is absolutely true, that we are better together. As we were considering really the story of Walnut Hill and the story of the adoption merger, what we were really so impressed by is by the way this church has overcome incredible adversity to be where they are today, to be really a thriving congregation. And so I'm really excited to share with you this video that describes the adversity that Walnut Hill Church has overcome. Let's take a look together.
My name's Stacy Houston. My family, Brent, Virginia, and Julie and I have been a part of the church since 2007. We moved into the neighborhood and we started coming to the church and joined about a year later. We've had a few things going on with our church, but the biggest one so far has been the tornado, of course, for our neighborhood and for the church. And that was in October of 2019. And that was probably the first major event, at least that I've been at, that's been a huge challenge, I would say, for the church to come back to. It was definitely a scary event. We live around the corner, so we were in the closet just like the rest of our neighbors for that minute that we had as a heads up. But yeah, after we made sure everybody was okay, and of course our home, one thing we did was turn the corner and come in, and obviously all the glass broken, all the wires down, the trees gone, the scout hut completely gone, neighborhood right across the street completely demolished, government building, Wendy's, the whole neighborhood was really hit hard. I have never been like anything like that in my life, so it's pretty scary. And then one thing to see too, though, was with the steeple gone, we could see from just our neighborhood all the emergency lights reflecting up in the steeple, or what was left. And that was really scary, just knowing that all the emergency vehicles are coming. They're over at the grocery store trying to rescue the people who were stuck in their cars. So it was a surreal and pretty scary moment just to know all of that was going on right here.
Walnut Hill Church has shown amazing determination and grit over the last 18 months. As they've recovered from tornado damage, from the adoption and merger, from a pastoral transition, from ice storm damage, and it seems like everything under the sun, they have not only bounced back, but have grown in the midst of all these adversities.
And one of the things that the adoption has taught us is that this congregation here at Walnut Hill is resilient, absolutely. Well, I'm Scott Luganbill. I serve as the executive pastor here at Walnut Hill Church, a ministry at Lovers Lane. But one thing that the adoption has certainly done has allowed us to be to restore, to continue to pivot between it seems like issue after issue, right? It was the tornado and the work of the trustees here of the original Walnut Hill Church of getting the church back in shape, and then the freeze and all these other things we've gone through. But I think the church has really pivoted well, and I think because of the adoption, we've been able to be better resourced. Not only the pastoral team that's here, but as well as the facility team under Rusty George's leadership and the hospitality team with Kristen and stuff. There's friendly faces here to greet people as they come through the doors. It helps resources the school better and the day-to-day operations of the church of this campus. We're just really excited about the things that the adoption will continue to do, and that's our mission and outreach and our small groups and classes as they resume and as they grow and as we multiply. So one of the things that by being here now and being part of the local congregation here is that this Walnut Hill's been used to for who knows how long of being very lay-led, right? And even though that we restructured the administration of the church and there's more staff that's assigned here or part-time here and all those kinds of things, is that we're able to continue to develop the lay leadership here, and that's our dream. It's all about the volunteers. It's about those who serve, and that's kind of part of we are is our mantra.
Looking forward, we are excited about continuing the effectiveness of the traditional worship here at Walnut Hill Church and even growing their effectiveness. We're also excited about the opportunity to launch a new worshiping community right here on our Walnut Hill Church campus. This worshiping community would be focused on reaching new people and continuing the tradition that's already been here of connecting and serving with our neighbors. When I first came on staff here last July, we did a virtual listening tour where we invited members from Walnut Hill Church to a Zoom meeting with myself and Pastor Stan, Pastor Scott, and Pastor Tom. And one of the things we heard during that conversation, we asked them what they hoped to see, what their dream was. What they said is, we want to use the balcony again. In other words, we want to create a ministry that is so vital to this community that people are compelled to come in and experience Christ here. And that's the tradition we're excited about continuing with a new worshiping community here at Walnut Hill Church.
One thing that's really exciting, of course, is finally we're getting these renovations done and we're actually all able to start coming back into the building. Finally, we're starting to see the bright light of all coming through all of this. And really exciting too to see the steeple go back up today. It's awesome to see it going back up finally. And I feel like that's going to be a huge turning point for everybody, is kind of the icing on the cake of let's move forward. Let's, rebuild. And I really feel like the energy's moving in the right way right now.
Before we continue, I just want to say a word of thanks to DJ Wilkerson, who has made our Walnut Hill Church videos and really helped us tell the story and celebrate what's happening here in this community. So thank you, DJ. I hope that you also heard as we celebrated not only an opportunity to continue to make the traditional service of Walnut Hill Church vital and grow that service, but we're also looking forward to the opportunity of launching a new worshiping community at Walnut Hill Church. I'm very excited about this project, and not only are we here at Lovers Lane excited about this opportunity, but so is the conference, and we have a word about that as well. Let's take a look together.
This year in June will be my 35th year after being ordained an elder in the United Methodist Church. And I was thinking just the other day of those times in my ministry over these years where I've said, only God, only God. And I caught myself saying that just a few months ago when Lovers Lane United Methodist Church and Walnut Hill United Methodist Church merged and became one. Some people call it an adoption. I just call it a win-win for both congregations. And another time that I've said, only God. The conference is all behind this too. I think they also have their mouths open and they're saying, only God could have brought two churches together so successfully as we have seen in the last few months. So God will bless this venture. God already has blessed this venture. And I will continue to look back on my 35 years, and right there at the top of the list is going to be the only God when I look at the merger of Lovers Lane United Methodist Church and Walnut Hill Church into one.
We are really excited about this opportunity to love even more people into relationship with Jesus Christ. Not only are we excited about this opportunity, but as you heard Pastor Stan say, so is the conference. So much so that they have offered a $52,000 matching grant. What that means is that as soon as we receive the $52,000 in hand, the conference will match that for a total of $104,000 used to reach new people. We are very excited that we have already received commitments for $26,000 of the $52,000 goal. And so we are asking everyone to help us make up the difference so that we can meet our $52,000 goal. These funds will be used from everything to renovation of the building, to make our space more welcoming to new people, to AV and lighting equipment for our sanctuary, and to help train a launch team on how to successfully launch a new community. If you would like to participate in this goal, you can do so in one of two ways. You can mail a check here to the church. If you put new community in that check and then you mail it here at Walnut Hill Church, 10066 Marsh Lane here in Dallas, Texas, we will receive that and place that towards the $52,000 matching grant. You can also give online at whumc.com/give. There will be a new community section where you can put the desired amount online and give with your card. Whichever way you give, I want to say thank you as we continue the long tradition that Lovers Lane already has of loving all people into relationship with Jesus Christ. God bless.
Wow, are you inspired? I'm inspired. That is so exciting, what's going on. You know, I want to second what Pastor Andy has said in that the conference is behind this. The conference is wanting us to match their investment in this project. They've already invested some money, but $26,000 will be coming from the conference when we raise $26,000. Now, we can raise $26,000. In fact, I'm not so sure we can't raise $52,000. And if we do, we might ask the conference, hey, do you want to double up? Who knows? But I know this, your generosity is making a huge difference. We want to thank the North Texas Annual Conference for their belief in this project and the way they're supporting us and the way they're holding us accountable for our progress. And I want to thank the congregation of Lovers Lane United Methodist Church at the Walnut Hill Church campus, at the Northwest Highway campus, and also at 723 for the way that we're reaching the world and the way we're loving people into a relationship with Jesus Christ. May God bless us as we go forth into this week. We've started it in a good way, haven't we? We've started in worship and we've ended with this incredible impact update. So may the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. Amen.